Yo, what up, guys? It's Alex again. I know it's been a long time since I came out one of these videos. It's been way too long, but 'tis the season, baby. 2024 Pod Squad Mock Draft version 1.0. I want to go ahead and establish a few rules. We're not going to do trading just yet. Eventually we will, but it's still too early to tell. Maybe we'll do that in a few weeks, but this is the first mock draft post-scouting combine, and we're trying to be as unbiased as possible, but let's find out how the top 32 picks panned out. How did your team do? With the first pick, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC. We've had to hear all offseason, should you keep Justin Fields? Should you draft Caleb Williams? Personally, Caleb Williams is a surefire first overall pick, tremendous talent. The next coming of Patrick Mahomes, we can calm all that down. He's going to be a great quarterback. Chicago needs one. It's been 80 years since they've had their franchise quarterback. Caleb Williams is a Bear. With the second pick, the Washington Commanders select Drake May, quarterback, North Carolina. Washington has not had stability at the quarterback position since Kirk Cousins left. This guy came out of an air raid offense at North Carolina. He's got tremendous arm talent. Washington just needs to do this. They've got a new coach, new owner, new direction, new everything. Get your franchise quarterback right here. The iron is hot. You might as well strike it. With the third pick, the New England Patriots select Jaden Daniels, quarterback, LSU. Personally, I don't know what New England does with this pick. I do think they should draft Jaden Daniels. He's got a Heisman Trophy. He is an uber-talented quarterback. Mac Jones has just not been the answer. Bailey Zappe's not going to move the needle for you. They traded Malik Cunningham. They have nothing at quarterback that's even viable remotely. So Jaden Daniels is an immediate improvement over whoever they have in that quarterback room. Gerard Mayo should make this pick because that's the start of a great thing. With the fourth pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver, Ohio State. Look, not much else really needs to be said. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the most impressive wide receiver prospect we've seen probably since Calvin Johnson. And the entirety of the Arizona wide receiver room is full of wide receiver twos. There is no alpha. But with Marvin Harrison Jr., they got him. With the fifth pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Malik Nabers, wide receiver, LSU. Okay, so there's a whole lot to dissect with this pick, but let's just state the obvious. We don't know the future of Keenan Allen. We don't know if Mike Williams will be on that roster next year. And Quentin Johnston has been an unmitigated disaster from just a year ago. They've got to shore up their receivers. They got to get Justin Herbert the help that he needs. And Malik Nabers is about as good as you can get right here. I love this pick. With the sixth pick, the New York Giants select J.J. McCarthy, quarterback, Michigan. I mean, they do say that history repeats itself. 2019, the Giants drafted Daniel Jones 6th overall. Here they are 5 years later drafting J.J. McCarthy 6th overall. But I think it's probably obvious that this does need to happen. Daniel Jones does not look like the answer for the Giants. He had a fluky year, yes, but I'm not really sure if they improve with J.J. McCarthy. I'm not sold on him quite yet, but the rest of my guys in the Pod Squad are. So here we are at pick number 6. And quarterback 4 off the board is J.J. McCarthy to the Giants. With the seventh pick, the Tennessee Titans select Rome Odunze, wide receiver, Washington. This right here is a home run selection simply for the fact that Treylon Burks is buns. Nick Westbrook-Akine is a bad wide receiver too. There's nobody reliable to catch the ball in that offense. They have got to do something for their quarterback here, and it doesn't get any easier than Rome Odunze. He is a day one wide receiver 1 for that team. With the eighth pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Nate Wiggins, cornerback, Clemson. So the first defensive player off the board comes at pick number 8, and it's a cornerback. But Nate Wiggins has earned every bit of it, 4.29 at the combine. He might have slightly injured himself, but that really doesn't matter. They've struck gold with A.J. Terrell out of Clemson before. Here they are doing it again with Nate Wiggins. I think this is a dangerous cornerback duo if they can pull it off. Nate Wiggins has got a bright future. I just can't stand the Falcons, and that's a great pick for them, so I will admit defeat. But Nate Wiggins at 8 might be a reach, but might be worth it. With the ninth pick,
The Chicago Bears select Byron Murphy, defensive tackle, Texas.
Byron Murphy has really been flying up some draft boards lately. I'm not shocked to see him in the top 10. What he provides on the defensive line is some serious talent. And I really think that Chicago needs to beef up their run defense. But coming away with Caleb Williams and Byron Murphy in the top 10 of this draft is pretty awesome. I like what Chicago's done. Ryan Poles is a miracle worker. This is how you rebuild a team.
With the 10th pick, the New York Jets select Joe Alt, offensive tackle, Notre Dame.
It really doesn't get better than this if you're a Jets fan. We all know the narrative. Aaron Rodgers, torn meniscus, horrible offensive line. Look at that, pick 10, and the number one offensive lineman prospect just fell into your lap. It really doesn't get easier than that. Jets fans, I can't believe it. Is that hope I'm seeing? It might be.
With the 11th pick, the Minnesota Vikings select Dallas Turner, defensive end, Alabama.
Truth be told, the Vikings do have a lot to work on in this offseason, but at pick 11, I think best player available is the best strategy for them. You don't want to reach for a quarterback if you need one, of course. But Dallas Turner ran a sub 4.5. He's freaky. His talent shoots off the paper. This guy right here is going to be an impact maker immediately on that defense that desperately is going to need one, especially if Danielle Hunter is gone. Dallas Turner might be a day one starter and maybe in contention for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
With the 12th pick, the Denver Broncos select Quinion Mitchell, cornerback, Toledo.
The Denver Broncos are just a mess right now. They've got dead cap everywhere. There's a lot of question marks on that team. There's a lot of holes on that roster. But this is kind of best player available as well. I don't know the immediate future of Patrick Surtain, but if you pair him with Quinion Mitchell, that is a dangerous cornerback duo. Definitely going to give a few people some problems. Hopefully Patrick Mahomes. But I think this is a great pick for a team that really doesn't have direction right now.
With the 13th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select Talisi Fuaga, offensive tackle, Oregon State.
Now, if Al Davis was still alive, this pick would 100% be Xavier worthy. But Fuaga is a fantastic pick because Alex Leatherwood from 2 years ago, disaster. The team has got a lot of question marks, a lot of instability, and I'm not even sure if Aiden O'Connell is going to be the quarterback next year. But if he is, I'm pretty sure he would like to stay off the ground. Fuaga is a great placement on this team. They need to beef up that offensive line and just about everything else as well.
With the 14th pick, the New Orleans Saints select Troy Fautanu, offensive tackle, Washington.
Look, I'm a Saints fan, and just to keep it real, Trevor Penning has been a bad pick, especially in the first round and especially on the offensive line. We need to get better. Ryan Ramczyk is not getting any younger. This team is going to be in turmoil for the next few years. I would rather beef up the offensive line just so our quarterbacks aren't out there getting killed. Trevor Penning might need to get cut. But Troy Fautanu is a fantastic pick. I'm all for it. Let's not get too fancy.
With the 15th pick, the Indianapolis Colts select Jerzon Newton, defensive tackle, Illinois.
Now, the Colts are one of those teams that could really do anything right here. They could probably trade that pick, and I do strongly see that happening. But they've got a lot of vacancies on their roster as well. It's kind of more of a best player available vibe to it. But I like Jerzon Newton just because he is a run stopper. He is a wall on the defensive line. And I think Indy could really get better on defense because it wasn't too long ago that they had the best defense in the NFL. And they are a shell of their former self. This is a great pick.
With the 16th pick, the Seattle Seahawks select Jackson Powers Johnson, offensive line, Oregon.
Jackson Powers Johnson is one of those guys who has really had an uptick in draft hype, and it's warranted. He's got tremendous talent. The Seahawks are very depleted in the inside of their offensive line. This is a great pick. If you play him at center, left guard, right guard, he's going to start and he's going to make an impact immediately. Charles Cross hopefully plays better, which I think he will, but this is a young offensive line and they're only going to get better with this selection.
With the 17th pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Terrion Arnold, cornerback, Alabama.
I definitely did not have Terrion Arnold falling this far to 17. He was actually my CB1, but he's the third defensive back off the board in this draft. And it's a really hard one to dispute just because you're playing in the same division as both Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud. You're going to want somebody to give them hell. I think that Terrion Arnold is a great piece for that Jaguars defense, and they could definitely use a little bit more identity in that secondary. Great pick.
With the 18th pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select Brock Bowers, tight end, Georgia.
This couldn't be any more of a perfect pick if we tried. Brock Bowers potentially has top 10 talent, and he's right here at pick number 18 to the probably most tight end needy team in this draft. Just think of the offense. Jamar Chase, franchise tag T. Higgins, and draft Brock Bowers. That's filthy. I hope Joe Burrow stays healthy because that would be a sight to see right there.
With the 19th pick, the Los Angeles Rams select Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle, Penn State.
It's been a long time since the Rams were here in the first, and I wouldn't be surprised if they traded this pick. But Olu Fashanu, he at one point was probably the number one player in this draft behind Marvin Harrison Jr., and he has just done nothing but slide. I can't believe there's been this many offensive tackles go in front of him, but this is a bona fide player right here. I know he might have a few injury concerns, but I think Olu Fashanu, especially for that team right there that might be on the brink of a transition, that's a good pick. I like it. 19th overall is tremendous value. Olu Fashanu is going to shine on that offense.
With the 20th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Laiatu Latu, defensive end, UCLA.
You can definitely make an argument that Pittsburgh needs another offensive lineman or another cornerback. But with Laiatu Latu, he is the best defensive end from college football last year, and he slid right to you at 20. Pair him up with TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. That is the staple of Pittsburgh's bloodline, is great defense. This is another fantastic defensive player for them. It's going to be wicked to see it, but I like this pick.
With the 21st pick, the Miami Dolphins select Graham Barton, offensive tackle, Duke University.
All right, this dude right here is just straight up versatility. He can play any position on the offensive line, and he can play it well. Teron Armstead's not going to last forever. Austin Jackson has improved. They definitely need some help within the interior. Graham Barton can basically do it all. Wherever you need him, he's going to shine. This is an awesome pick if you're a Dolphins fan.
With the 22nd pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Peyton Wilson, linebacker, NC State.
This dude right here had a really impressive NFL combine. He ran a 4.43, which led all linebackers. Philadelphia does have a positional need, but this is mainly because of that 10-1 team that completely collapsed after that start. The defense was a shell of its former self. They were abysmal. This is a pick that makes sense no matter what. Philadelphia should draft Peyton Wilson.
With the 23rd pick, the Houston Texans select Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver, LSU.
Just think about this receiving core. You've got Nico Collins, Brian Thomas Jr., Tank Dell coming off injury, and Dalton Schultz. Remember that CJ Stroud had the greatest rookie quarterbacking season of all time last year, and you're just immediately upgrading a position that they were already strong at to begin with, if you want me to be honest. This is a home run pick. This offense just got even more scary. He could be a great wide receiver 2 or 3 on this offense. Brian Thomas Jr. is a very smart and athletic player. Sky's the limit for Houston.
With the 24th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Cooper DeJean, cornerback, Iowa.
This is a pick that surprised me because you already have Trayvon Diggs coming back from injury. Deron Bland went into the NFL record books last year with his season. Cooper DeJean could be your nickel corner. He could be your safety. But if he does start at cornerback, let me address the white elephant in the room. Jason Sehorn from 2003, New York Giants, was the last time there was a full-time white cornerback starting in the NFL. Cooper DeJean will absolutely break that.
With the 25th pick, the Green Bay Packers select J.C. Latham, offensive tackle, Alabama.
This one's pretty cut and dry. J.C. Latham slid way too far. Green Bay just got tremendous value with this pick. There's not really much else that needs to be said. This is a fantastic selection for the Packers. Jordan Love would totally appreciate this.
With the 26th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Chop Robinson, defensive end, Penn State.
Chop Robinson, for the past couple weeks, he's been somewhere in the first to second round range. His NFL Combine performance was great. I think it definitely puts him in the first round now. Tampa Bay could beef up their defensive line a bit. They did lose their anchor in Shaq Barrett, but you got Vita Vea. Antoine Winfield Jr. is coming back on the franchise tag. I say continue to stack those chips. Chop Robinson has got a lot of talent, and he could be somebody really special down the road. It's a good pick.
With the 27th pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Amarius Mims, offensive tackle, Georgia.
The Cardinals are just seeking to build a wall in front of Kyler Murray, I'm guessing. You took Paris Johnson Jr. 6th overall last year. You got Amarius Mims sliding all the way down to 27th. That's an insanely good value pick. This Cardinals draft already has just been bonkers. They can really turn that team around. I'm excited to see what happens.
With the 28th pick, the Buffalo Bills select Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver, Texas.
This dude right here is a flat-out baller. He's one of my favorite players in the draft. He's got so much potential, but the Bills definitely need a solid wide receiver too. I don't think Gabe Davis was that. And you also have the threat of the drama with Stephon Diggs spilling over with the Bills. I don't know how long his career there will last. I would rather rectify my wide receivers right here, right now, with a pretty special talent at the back of the first round. This is a really solid situation.
With the 29th pick, the Detroit Lions select Braden Fisk, defensive tackle, Florida State.
This dude is a perfect example of a strong combine performance, literally putting you in the first round. His 40-yard dash was unbelievable for a defensive tackle. He registers high on a lot of the tests from the combine. Detroit was so close to the Super Bowl last year, and getting this guy on the defensive line beside Aiden Hutchinson would be awesome. I'd love to see it.
With the 30th pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Jared Verse, defensive end, Florida State.
Jared Verse at pick 30 is awesome, but Justin Madubuike led the team in sacks. He just got franchise tagged. Jadeveon Clowney is probably leaving in free agency. David Ojabo hasn't done much. Odafe Owe is good every once in a while. Adding Jared Verse right here to this defensive line on a team that emphasizes defense, I love this fit. It's a great fit for the Ravens. I say do it.
With the 31st pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback, Alabama.
So admittedly, Kool-Aid McKinstry has kind of fallen out of the first round on a lot of mock drafts. I think the 49ers take him at 31st because they really don't have much of a need outside of offensive linemen and cornerback. But this is not a guy that has to be a starting corner. He can factor in on a rotation. I think it's a good fit on a team that is going to play every single postseason, and you would like to have depth at corner.
With the 32nd pick, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs select Ladd McConkey, wide receiver, Georgia.
This pick really doesn't need to be explained because outside of Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce, the Chiefs are devoid of pass catchers. Ladd McConkey has got championship experience. You're going to a team that is seeking a three-peat, and their biggest need is wide receiver. This is a strong unit. If you add Ladd McConkey, he's going to fall right into the fold. Patrick Mahomes just gets another weapon. All right, that's all I got for this time. I appreciate everybody hanging out with me. Mock Draft Pod Squad 1.0 is in the books. Hopefully I'm going to dish out more of these, but they do take a lot of time to edit, and I got 2 kids, so I do what I can. But I appreciate y'all for hanging around. I'll be back as soon as I can, but until then, y'all stay safe. I'll see you next time.